Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. Hi there.
Oh, there we are. Okay, good. Do we have everybody together?
I think so, yeah. Mike Springer, are you on the line?
It's Michael Whiteside here. Bruce, I think you're speaking to the other Mike, yes?
Yes, I'm just Mike Springer is on the line.
Okay. So would you like me to wait a little bit, or should we start?
I call right now and just see where he's at.
Okay.
You want that? You got a phone in. Okay, you got a phone in, you see the problem, you got email it. Okay. Hey, Michael Springer's just phoning right now. He wasn't
Okay.
He had to actually phone in, so he'll be joining us right away, so yeah, okay.
No problem. We'll just wait for him to join us. So what I'll do, once everyone's on, I'm going to mute everybody just so that you don't get any background noise. And then when we're done, I'll unmute, and then we can talk about whatever questions and things we need to go over. I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're still waiting for Mike to join in. Yeah. I believe this webinar that we'll be going through today, I believe it's on the MIFAB website already. Okay, there we go.
Hi there.
Hi, Mike. Welcome. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to get started. My name is Michael Whiteside. I'm the owner of MIFAB, and we have a wide range of products, but this is the latest product that we are introducing, and it's getting a lot of excitement, the large plastic interceptors. And we put together this webinar to talk about the features and what makes our product different than others. So I'll just walk you through the key points here. Okay, so there's two sizes of large plastic interceptors, a 75 GPM and 100. That's what we have ready to ship, and we've been shipping now. To come are going to be 8 sizes of smaller plastic interceptors, 7 GPM to 50 with a 25 GPM lowboy. Those are injection molded. They're all at the CSA test lab right now, and those are going to be a direct alternative to CanPlas's small plastic units, which are really taking market share. We're going to highlight the features and benefits of each of the two large ones. I'm going to compare our product to Shear. Right now, Shear or Shire, however you want to pronounce them, is the only competition in the space for the 75-gallon and 100-gallon. CanPlas is developing a 75 and 100-gallon. They actually have a piece of, they have a spec sheet out there on it, but they're saying that they won't be ready till the fall. Okay, so there is what we call the XL MIG PL for plastic 750. We say 750 because it has a 750 pounds of grease holding capacity, and it's 75 GPM gallon per minute. There's a picture of it there on the pallet. So that's how it would show up to your place. It'd be banded and shrink wrapped and all that. The smaller box directly on top of the HDPE plastic, rotational molded plastic unit, is a 75-pound lid. It's It's steel encased. It's steel encased in plastic. It's a real heavy-duty lid that can withstand 20,000 pounds, so no problem with outside use. The bigger box, the MIFAB box that you see on top of it, has the corrugated drainage pipe, which acts as the transition piece between the body and the lid. You'll see pictures of that later, along with the other pieces needed to make this unit whole, the flow control fitting and so on. Okay, here's a cross-section of the 75-gallon unit. When you look at the cross-section, on the left you have the inlet, on the right we have the outlet. So we create the inlet and the outlet with a 4-inch PVC T, and then we simply have 4-inch PVC pipe that we socket weld to the underside of the T going vertical, going down. We have what's called a bulkhead fitting, which is shipped with it's shipped assembled into the Interceptor for the inlet and the outlet. So the contractor would, on the small one, the T and the pipe are glued together by us. When they open up that big box, they would take the T and pipe that's glued together, put some solvent cement on the inside of the T, and shove it onto the bulkhead fitting, which is sticking into the inside of the Interceptor. Do that on both ends. You can see the lids at the top, and then underneath the lid is corrugated ADS is the brand, Advanced Drainage Systems drainage pipe. And this is one of our huge features because the dimension, for the C dimension is what we call from the middle of the inlet outlet to the top of the unit is up to 24 inches. Out of the box is 24 inches. Shear is like 12 inches. So a lot of the times with shear, you need to order an extension, which is like $500-600 list. Because we give the contractor so much C dimension already out of the box, there's less need for an extension. If they need less than 24, if they want 19 3/4, they can simply take a Sawzall and slice off the amount of the pipe they don't need, get the lid to the grade, and away you go. The other advantage with this is in the event that they need greater than 24 inches from invert to grade, we're happy to sell them an extension, no problem. But we all know how contractors are. So, they'll call you on a Friday afternoon and say, I need this extension Monday. Well, if they can't wait to get it from us, then they could go to the local waterworks wholesaler. I think EMCO's got a waterworks division. And they could buy off their shelf a piece of 18-inch diameter ADS drainage pipe to whatever height they want. And that would be their extension. So with shear, and also with Camplast, I've seen their preliminary design, you cannot do that. You have to get the extension specifically to the dimension you need from them. So you have to order it, you have to wait for it, and so on. Okay, let's go to the next. There's the big boy. That's the 100 GPM, 1,150 pounds grease holding capacity grease interceptor. And that is the rotational mold place that these are made at. That's in New Paris, Indiana. So we own the tooling at MIFAB. We designed the product, we had the tooling made, and then we sent it to our subcontractor, this molder in Indiana, and they actually mold the units. You can see a whole bunch on the left. So with the 100 GPM, there's two lids, and that's why we have two sets of boxes, one over each lid. If we took those boxes off, you would see an opening, about a 24-inch diameter opening that's open. So the reason why I say this can go outside is, those boxes are covering that opening nicely. Just imagine having some shrink wrap around those boxes so that snow and rain doesn't deteriorate the cardboard, and nothing's going to harm the plastic body, and away you go. Those handles you see on the side, those are anchor support tabs so that a contractor could put rope or belting or something, and anchor, secure the unit to the ground. So when they pour the concrete, it doesn't float. Those are also good handles to grip on. Two people, one on either side, can literally lift this thing up and move it. So you don't need a backhoe, you don't need a crane. It's narrow enough at 33 inches to go through a doorway in a building. And there's a cross section of the 100 GPM, very much like the 75, except you got two lids. Two lids for access. So here we talk about how to install get rid of this thing, the internal inlet and outlet assemblies, and this is a better diagram of what I was saying earlier, where on the 75 gallon we will glue the pipe to the T, so you don't have to do that on the 75. On the 100 gallon, because they're too long to go into that box glued together already, the contractor will have to put the pipe and the T together via glue. Then the T is connected to the bulkhead. Let's see if we have that on the next slide. Yeah, there you go. So once the T and the pipe are together, you then glue it to the inside of the bulkhead fitting. The bulkhead fitting is in place. So when they get the unit, the bulkhead fitting is like that, sealed in tight. And with every one of these, we ship installation instructions that have details like this. So it's there as well. Okay, so before we put the pipe into the top of the unit, there's a gasket. You can see that dark black pipe gasket on the left. It's a big, huge, 2-3 inch diameter gasket that goes onto the 18 inch diameter ADS pipe, and it goes into one of the slots of between the ridges or the ribs. It's kind of like a push-on body with drains. So that gasket goes onto the pipe, and then you push that pipe with the gasket at the bottom into the top of the interceptor, and it'll increasingly get tight and snug as you push that on there. And then what we do is you put the lid on top, get the invert or get the grade dimension that you need. If it's too high, you can cut it off easily. If it's not high enough, then we can get you an extension, or you can get a larger piece of pipe from a local wholesaler. So the lid. Okay, the lid has a cover bolted to the collar, and then the collar is bolted into one of the ribs of the pipe. Very simple. So the contractor would remove the cover from the collar, secure the collar to the pipe, put the cover back on, and away you go. So there's a typical installation. You're going to have your inlet, should be vented. We provide a flow control fitting in that big box, and then you have the outlet piping going on the outlet end. There's a picture of the 75-gallon unit with the plastic lid, steel encased on top. You can see that 18-inch diameter corrugated pipe that goes into the top of the unit. The lid goes onto that. We've had a lot of really good feedback from contractors when they realize that if they're in a jam on that invert dimension, they can easily get an extension piece and not have to wait for one from the factory. There's a picture of the big one. So we put together a feature benefit summary. In the States, we're in 3 buying. One of them is AD, and I believe AD's affiliated distributors, they have some members in Canada. So we are part of AD. I know, for example, J.W. Bird in the Maritimes is an AD member. I'm sure there's some AD members in Alberta. I just don't know what their names are. But when we're in a group and Shear's not in any group, then obviously we have that advantage. The C dimension is something I've talked about. So we're a standard 24.5 inch on the big one. It can be cut down to 15.5. The standard from shear is only 12.5 on the 75 gallon and 13.5 on a 100 gallon, the GB250. That's a big advantage because, again, a lot of the times they won't need to buy the extension because that 24 inches from us, 24.5 from us would be enough most of the time. It's about 10% when you don't have to buy that extension, plus all the hassle factor that goes with it. So this is also the point on the extensions. The extension is only from shear. You cannot go and make up an extension. It's got to be bought from them. With us, you can buy it from a local wholesaler. And here we show the list prices. So an SR24 from 6-inch to 24-inch extension from shear is $528 list. The long riser, the 24 to 39, is $664 list, and they're typically at a multiplier of like 40 off or 0.57 off or something like that. So it's a few $100s to get this extension. Now we have the same list prices for our extensions, but again, they're not going to need it as often because we have more C dimension. On the cover, we give this cover that has a 20,000 pound load rating, H20 load rating. Shear standard cover is only load rated to 16,000 pounds, and they charge $442 extra for an H20 load rated cover. We have the PDI and CSA approval, and we're in the process of being IATMO listed. Now in Canada, of course, the big one is CSA. I believe that Shear's product is CSA as well, but we have PDI, and they do not. In Canada, PDI is not as much of a factor. Some engineers will appreciate that. The big one, of course, is going to be CSA. So this is a feature that is in common with shear in that the width of these is 33.5 inches, so that they can be installed through a doorway to get into a basement or some awkward place inside. No need for a crane. This is really more as a benefit versus concrete. We're seeing more and more concrete outside grease interceptors being installed because people want the grease out of the building. And these units can be installed in tandem. So you could have two 100-gallon units in a row that would accommodate 200 GPM and up to 2,300 pounds of grease holding capacity. So here's our grease holding capacity is a little bit more than shear. We made ours a little bit longer, a little bit higher, so that we'd have more volume. Their shear is 1,076 on their 100 GPM, the GB250 Great Basin. We're at 1,150. And they're 616 pounds on the 75 gallon. We're at 750 pounds. So there's your list prices. $2,500 list for the 0.57 multiplier, the 75 gallon, and $4,856 list on the 100 GPM. These are the same list prices that Shear has in the States. I believe they use the same list prices in Canada. So for shipping, our plan, and we've had about 15 reps now in the States take 6 assorted units, so 3 and 3 or 4 and 2, whatever, because they're fairly big and bulky. To ship them a long way, you need to get a few of them. So we settled on 6. A plumbing wholesaler could buy 6, and we would ship them direct from our molder in Indiana to the wholesaler. Or what's more likely going to happen is they'll buy one at a time out of your stock, and we're at a 0.57 multiplier, one at a time out of your warehouse. So we ship from New Paris, Indiana. Romotech is our molder. Obviously, MIFAB pays the freight to get the 6 units to your warehouse. And then when you sell them at the 0.57, we would invoice the plumbing wholesaler and then pay the commission. Lots of inventory. We don't have, actually we probably have that many again because we've shipped almost all those out, but they've just completed another run. In that unit at the front, you can see the opening where the pipe goes in. And there's the larger ones. So then we do a top 10 reasons to sell. We have some fun with this. Buying group benefit, that would only apply to the 80 members in your market versus shear. Number 9, more C dimension. The C dimension is the invert from the middle of the inlet outlet to the top. We're 24.5 versus 13.5 on the 100, or 12.5 on the 75 from shear. Extensions are easy with us. You don't have to wait for one from us. You can get the piece of pipe local. The cover, standard 20,000 pounds, no upcharge for that. That was 400 and something list from shear for that 20,000 pound rated lid. We have all the approvals, PDI, ASME, CSA, IAPMO. Shear does not have PDI. Some engineers may recognize that as a big advantage for us. Easy to use, 33.5 inches wide to go through a door. That's mainly against a concrete interceptor. Anybody putting concrete interceptors in will appreciate these much better because they're about the same in price, but they're a whole lot less expensive to install. Lightweight, 2 people can move and install these. Great alternative to concrete. More grease holding capacity. That would be something to highlight to an engineer. You're going to get a little bit more capacity in our units. Of course, number 1, you can make more money. So that's our presentation. Questions? I think we're live. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, sure can. You got Mike Stringer here.
Okay, go ahead. Hey, Mike.
I'm not sure about the others, but yeah.
Okay.
So does you mentioned storing outside and whatnot?
Yeah.
I know typically I think did you say the actual interceptor itself is made of HDPE?
That's correct.
So does UV affect that at all? Do you know?
Well, I mean, I guess after a while it would, and when I say a while, a year or 2 years, but it's black, and
yeah, and I know, HDPE typically does have a little bit more characteristics to combat the UV. Right. So I was just wondering if it was the same as, I guess, HDPE is HDPE really. Right.
Yeah. I mean, the idea is that you don't have these sitting around more than a year. That.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You definitely don't want that. No, other than that, it seems like a great product. I take it 75 and 100 gallons are probably the 2 more common ones that are out there.
Well, those are in terms of the large family. Shear has the GB Great Basin 75 and the GB 250, the Great Basin 250. Mm-hmm. The 250 is 100 GPM and the 75 is a 75 GPM. So in the large family, these are the only 2 sizes that exist from anybody. Okay. Then the smaller family, and these are rotational molded, these 2 big ones. The smaller family is 7 gallon to 50 gallon GPM. And Canplas is dominating that market now. Shear has those as well, but they're rotational molded, and people generally like the Canplas product better because it looks nicer. It's a smoother, cleaner look.
Yeah.
And so once we come out with our 7 through 50 GPM we already have the 75 and 100, these two big ones, ready now. I mean, we could ship these to you whenever you'd like.
Yeah, for sure.
Then we'll have the whole range, right? Now, Camplast is working on the 75 and 100 GPM. So eventually, by the end of the year, there'll be three of us. There'll be Camplast, Shear, and us, all with the small, all with the large. But we've got the best large mainly because of this lid design that we've got patent pending.
Yeah, do you really? No, that popped out right away when you started going over the competitive advantages and stuff like that. That's one thing that stands out, and it's when you can kind of knock that many advantages off the list to an engineer or anything. I don't know why you wouldn't pick that one.
Right. Right.
That's nice to see that MIFAB does have that many kind of benefits versus Shear.
Right. And what we've seen Shear do in most markets is they go in and they'll give one wholesaler, it's called the Pioneer Program, and he's like the master distributor. So that person would get the long discount. Now I don't know if they're doing that in Alberta, but that's how they do it in the States.
Okay.
And what happens is the other wholesalers get kind of irritated because they have to buy from the master. They can't buy from Shear.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, again, I don't know what's going on in
Alberta.
Alberta.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how they do that up here, but definitely something we'll try to keep our ears open for, that's for sure.
Okay.
And then when they're shipped, are they shipped with the lid? That picture you showed us with the small box with the lid, and then the larger box with the piece of pipe in there. Is that how they're shipped?
Exactly. Let's see if I can get back to that photo. So, just like that there. That's the big one. So what you'll get is this longer skid with the big one on there and the two boxes on top, and then it'll be banded. The boxes will be banded to the Interceptor, then banded to the skid.
Okay. No, that sounds good.
Other
than that,
there's a small one there.
Yeah.
So, are the other guys with us? Can you?
Yeah.
Bruce, you can hear us? Okay. All right. Any questions from you guys?
So shipping FOB for 6 units and above?
We will pay MIFAB for 6 units and above from the molder's address in Indiana to your warehouse in Alberta.
Okay.
So then they're in. So the wholesaler hasn't paid any freight. Nobody's paid freight to get it to your building. And I think that's the secret. I don't think Equipco, which is the shear rep in Alberta, has stock of these.
Okay.
Right. So with you guys having stock, let's face it. These guys leave it till the last second, and then they're gonna call around. Who's got it? Well, you've got it. I mean, you're more likely to get the order. There's probably some engineers in town that are either specifying or accepting shear because they were the first one out with the plastic unit. So you probably have to get to those folks to show them the features that we have. Right now, we've got this PowerPoint presentation. We have spec sheets on these. They're on our website as well. And next week, we're going to have a pamphlet, an illustrative pamphlet that has spec information, model numbers, a nice cutaway detail that shows the features and benefits of it. So you'll have a piece of literature. We expect to finish that off next week and then get it printed in the next week and a half after that. So that's not too far away.
What's the more common size that you're finding? Which one are people crying for more?
Well, there's only two sizes in the large family. There's the 75 GPM and the 100 GPM. And of those two, it seems that the 100 GPM sells more than the 75. And I think that's because these are typically going in a place where the owner wants this thing outside. They don't want to deal with the traditional, steel or now plastic under the counter grease trap that can smell and make a mess in the kitchen. So the mentality is, get it out of here, put it in the parking lot. That's why that 20,000-pound lid is good, and therefore we need capacity because every so often the pumper will come and take the lid off, get the hose in there, and suck the grease out. So I think that's why we're selling more 100s because people get more capacity.
Michael?
Yes, sir.
This is Tom Willis. I had trouble getting the audio going, but do you want to talk about the sample port?
Yes, Tom is our national sales manager and just joined us a couple of weeks ago. So thank you, Tom, for joining us so that you could hear about this as well. So on this slide, you can see when you look at the top of the T, you can see that it's obstructed by the inside of the underside of the lid formation, right? So in some areas, people talk about how when we take the lid off, we want to be able to look down and take a sample of the effluent to make sure that there's not too much grease in the effluent relative to, that tells you how often the thing's being cleaned and so on. So we've put together and we've changed this design to kick back that piping. Just give me a second here as I'm going to minimize this and show you another detail of this that shows that, here we go, that shows what I'm talking about. So let's see here. So those are the assembly instructions that go with the unit, but the detail I'm looking for, here we go. Here's okay, now we have to rotate the view here. Now, okay, so if you look at this detail, look at the right-hand side, you can see how the PVC-T has been kicked back toward the inlet. So when you take the lid off, the right-hand side lid off, and you look down, you can now access the top of that T to get your effluent. Now, some areas are more into that than others. I don't know what the requirements are in Alberta, and we've seen differences of requirements. Some areas in the States are very strict to say we need access to that sample port. Other areas don't talk about it. So I guess we'll just kind of learn as we go. But all of the units that we're now shipping are shipped like the detail we are seeing. So whether they need it or not, it's always going to come like this.
And it's also available with a fill alarm. So once it tops out, an alarm alerts everyone that it needs to be pumped.
We do have a high-level alarm option. It's our HLA option. It's not standard with these, but it is an option that we can provide.
And in some areas, they're asking for a vision port also, so they can actually see the water flow. And our solution to that would be the high-level alert.
Yeah, that's right. Bruce, any other questions?
So I think we're pretty familiar with grease traps, Michael. We like to compete to some of the other guys, so that's all pretty straightforward. I'll get a hold of you on Monday, and I'll decide on over the weekend we want for the first 6 units coming in.
Okay.
I'll find out
Yeah.
guys, and we'll do it Monday with you.
Yeah. Now, Bruce, I think you have a copy of this PowerPoint, yes?
We do, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think I'll give it to you guys, but we have it all, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good.
In the literature, did you say
Yeah, we're working on the literature piece as we speak, and expect to get that finished next week, early next week, and then off to the printer. So we're probably about 2 weeks away to have a nice glossy lit piece on these two big ones. And then once the small units come out, the 7-gallon to 50-gallon, then we'll expand that literature piece to include the small ones as well.
No, I'm all good. If anyone else has any questions or?
And as far as pricing, those prices for Inlet are multipliers or different? Okay.
Yeah, I've got the multipliers. I'll share them with the guys.
Yeah. Okay. So those lists are the same list as shear, and shear went up in list March of 2014. But I can't imagine many wholesalers in Alberta are buying, 6 or more of these at a shot. They're probably buying one at a time, and they're probably paying the freight from either Vancouver or the States to get these things. So, if you've got them in stock, I think that's going to be one of your biggest advantages.
Yeah, no, for sure. Have it locally.
Right. What's that?
The shipping will get you in any business.
Yeah, exactly. And what I'd recommend is try to find a couple of plumbers that have put the shear in your market. You'll probably get that through the plumbing wholesalers that this guy and that guy bought them. And just, show these guys, some of these slides with the corrugated pipe. And, every plumber I've shown that to, they say, that it's so much more versatile than having to buy the extension direct from the manufacturer only, because they can make what they want to work on site.
Yeah, if they're in a bind or anything, it's nice and simple for them, easy.
Well, you know how that's going to go, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay, guys. Well, thank you for your attention. And Bruce, look forward to speaking to you Monday.
Yeah, I'll give you a call Monday. We'll discuss this here later today, and I think we're pretty straightforward and all good to go.
Okay, very good. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Tom.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
All right.
Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
All right, you too. All right.